Nothing goes with Halloween like Halloween. For more than 40 years, when the weather gets cold and the dark comes early, Michael Myers has returned to kill again. We're ranking every movie in the Halloween series from the 1978 original to 2021's Halloween Kills. The greatest sin a movie can commit, especially a horror movie, is to be boring. While other Halloween sequels have failed more spectacularly than this one, they at least deserve extra points for ambition. The return of Michael Myers coasts on its own concept because it does exactly what the title promises, bringing Michael Myers back and doing almost nothing else. Return picks up 10 years after the original film, finding Michael as he wakes from a decade-long coma and overhears that he has a niece. It doesn't get much better from there. In this movie, Laurie Strode is revealed to have died in a car accident, leaving a young daughter, Jamie. Michael meanders into town to find her with his old nemesis, Dr. Sam Loomis, in tow. With the mystery of the original Halloween long gone, the return of Michael Myers turns into a tepid retread of the first movie. Why watch Halloween 4 when the original did everything better the first time around? If Halloween 4 disappoints by being too safe, the Rob Zombie remake went too far in the opposite direction. It was a bold choice to hire a filmmaker with as unique a vision as Rob Zombie to set a new direction for the series. Unfortunately, the result is an overcomplicated, unpleasant mess stuck halfway between reboot and prequel. The film dwells on the abusive childhood that warped young Michael Myers' mind before leaping forward in time to once again recreate the original movie. The result is a film that's relentlessly dreary and structurally unsound. Rob Zombie is definitely a director with style, but when it comes to his filmography, this is no slam dunk. It's certainly not a slam in the back of your Dragula. The curse of Michael Myers is so compromised that fans would go on to circulate an early work print version labeled a producer's cut as a bootleg for nearly 20 years before it was officially released. In fact, the writer of the movie revealed in a Fangoria interview that the curse of the title started as a joke about the nightmarish process of making the film. This 1995 entry finds Jamie escaping from a cult with a newborn baby 6 years after she and her unkillable Uncle Michael were abducted by a mysterious man in black at the end of Halloween 5. Michael chases her down and kills her, but her baby lives and winds up in the care of Tommy Doyle, played by Paul Rudd in one of his earliest movie roles. Tommy has been obsessed with Myers ever since surviving the events of the original film, and he teams up with Dr. Loomis to protect the newborn. The plot that unfolds reveals the secrets of the Cult of Thorn, a druidic order bent on cultivating power through human sacrifice. Their leader is the Man in Black, who is revealed to be Dr. Terrence Wynn, a character who appeared in one scene of the original Halloween that you almost certainly won't remember. This tangled drama leaves little room for either scares or fun, meaning the most compelling reason to watch is to marvel at how little Paul Rudd has aged in over a quarter century.
I don't really believe in age or numbers, I don't...
The Halloween series has a track record of taking absurd sequel concepts and taking them too seriously. There may be no better example of this problem than 2002's Halloween Resurrection. The 8th entry in the franchise begins as a satire of reality TV, with a webcast show called Dangertainment, locking contestants into the old Myers house for a night of scares.
The Dangertainment begin out.
The hosts, played by Tyra Banks and Busta Rhymes, have prepared a number of spooky traps for the players, but the Dangertainment gets real when Michael comes home. The first victim, sadly, is the cleverness of this setup. The movie quickly devolves into an unmemorable romp through dark rooms. Far from resurrecting the Halloween franchise, this movie puts the series in the ground. It also features a depressing cameo from Jamie Lee Curtis' Laurie Strode. She appears in the beginning of the movie, locked up in a mental hospital, where she's killed by Michael Myers in the first 15 minutes. Rob Zombie returned to write and direct his own take on a Halloween sequel, and it was a marked improvement over his first attempt. No longer bound by the obligation to remake John Carpenter's original, Zombies Halloween 2 cuts loose for a unique story examining the effects of the previous film's traumas on its characters. Loomis was trying to sell his new book, Laurie was plagued by intrusive killer impulses, while Michael dealt with surreal visions of his mother. Zombie chose to shoot Halloween 2 on 16mm film, lending it an authentically gritty grindhouse feel that set it apart from most modern horror movies. This decision played to the movie's strengths, namely its strikingly surreal, hallucinatory imagery. While more psychologically interesting than many other entries in the series, its big ideas are sadly buried beneath uninspired violence and an unrelentingly grim tone. What the fifth Halloween may lack in originality, it makes up for with sheer, trashy horror movie fun. This time, Jamie Lloyd has been left traumatized by the horror she faced 1 year earlier. She's experiencing hallucinations that suggest some kind of telepathic link with her uncle Michael, who vanished down a mine shaft at the end of Halloween 4. The real joy of revenge is in Donald Pleasance's fourth turn as Dr. Loomis, who gets more and more over the top in his desperation to convince authorities that Myers is alive, pure evil, and coming back to kill once more. He spends about as much time in this movie terrorizing Jamie as Michael Myers does.
What do you think he's going to do with that? Huh?
The appeal of this film's teen cast is unmatched by any other Halloween film besides the original. Decked out in late 80s fashion and talking about how love makes your heart feel like it's made of neon. Jamie's climactic flight through a laundry chute to escape her uncle's knife has more genuine tension than many of the other sequels' kill sequences combined. It also gave audiences one of the most bonkers moments in the series, in which Loomis traps Michael in a net and beats him with a 2x4.
Michael! Die!
John Carpenter has always seemed to hold mixed feelings about the Halloween series. He said in a 2014 interview with Deadline, Michael Myers was an absence of character, and yet all the sequels are trying to explain that. That's silliness. Carpenter turned down the opportunity to direct Halloween 2, but agreed to help write it in the interest of maintaining some share in the phenomenon he had helped create. The result is a film that continues the story of Halloween as directly as possible, while still putting in an effort to feel different. To that end, Halloween 2 ratchets up the gore factor in the style of the then-new slashers like Friday the 13th. Picking up in the final scene of its predecessor, the sequel is set entirely on the very same night, letting Myers loose in a hospital in search of Laurie with Dr. Loomis in pursuit. Meanwhile, Michael's motivations are explored, revealing for the first time the family connection between Laurie and Michael that would go on to define so many of the sequels. In the end, Halloween 2 is a movie that believes it shouldn't exist, but still gives a valiant effort to give viewers a good time. It's not perfect, but it's something. As Carpenter candidly told Deadline, I had to write the second movie, and every night I sat there and wrote with a six-pack of beer trying to get through this thing, and I didn't do a very good job, but that was it. Halloween H2O is undoubtedly one of the silliest titles in horror history. The movie isn't even about water. The title refers to the 20 years that have passed since the first two Halloween movies. Laurie Strode is revealed to be living under an assumed name after faking her death, serving as headmistress of a private school attended by her teenage son, John. Is it weird? Kinda. But it's fun.
What the do you think you're doing?
Mom, I'm really uncomfortable with you saying that
Well,
word.
then don't put me in the position, John.
H2O is very much a Halloween for the Scream generation, with extremely strong late 90s vibes, from Josh Hartnett to LL Cool J to the Creed song that plays over the closing credits. Despite all that, H2O is a surprisingly tight, slick thriller that lets Laurie fight back when Michael comes for her son. It's Jamie Lee Curtis who makes H2O worth watching. Not only is her performance as a still-haunted, middle-aged Laurie compelling, but the story was her idea. She recalled in an interview with the Los Angeles Times, "That was how I pitched the movie. Regaining the soul by facing your own fear. When the stalkee becomes the stalker, I guarantee you the audience will go crazy." After years away from the big screen, Michael Myers once again rose from the dead. In 2017, it was announced that Blumhouse Productions had hired David Gordon Green and Danny McBride to reinvigorate the franchise for a new generation. The result was Jamie Lee Curtis's iconic Laurie Strode being reinvented once again as a survivor turned survivalist. This time, when Michael came back to Haddonfield, the final girl would be ready. Audiences responded well to the end result, which ignored all the other sequels entirely. The result was the highest-grossing Halloween film ever made up to that point, making for an undeniable, crowd-pleasing revival of the classic horror series.
Gotcha.
If 2018's Halloween was the spark, then Halloween Kills is a raging fire. This action-packed movie brings the town of Haddonfield together with the survivors of Michael Myers teaming up to finish off Michael Myers once and for all. It's a gory and intense escalation of everything the first movie in the revival trilogy promised, setting things up for a conclusion in the planned sequel, Halloween Ends. If you love the Halloween films, you'll love how Halloween Kills commits to fan service without betraying what made the 2018 movie work. Much like the original two Halloween films, these new movies both take place right after the other. And taken together, they feel like one long, masterful exercise in escalating horror. The boldest thing attempted by any of the Halloween sequels is to not be a Halloween sequel. The third movie tried to pivot the franchise into being an anthology series telling an entirely new story about a different Halloween night. The movie is actually about an ancient order of warlocks, but Season of the Warlock doesn't have the same ring to it. It's centered around a company/cult that aims to slaughter children on a massive scale with a crop of cursed Halloween masks. The goal? To get revenge against America for the commercialization of Halloween and usher in a new age of witchcraft. Despite being disliked at the time of its release, Season of the Witch is full of clever and memorable moments. Unfortunately, it was subjected to a disappointing box office and scathing reviews from fans and critics, and the intriguing anthology concept was abandoned. Any list arranging the Halloween films from worst to best is doomed to be anticlimactic because there's only one way for it to end. The merits of every sequel and reboot can be debated, but there's no denying that the original is in a class of its own. No hot takes here. The best Halloween movie is 1978's Halloween. Halloween became legendary because it's elemental, its teen characters are charmingly ordinary. There are no contrived plot twists or convoluted motivations behind Michael Myers. He's just a man in a mask who wants to kill everyone he sees. The tension hovering over the movie steadily builds until the killing spree begins, and it doesn't let up until the movie ends with Michael vanishing into the night, doomed to haunt your nightmares for the rest of your days. It's a minimalist masterpiece that redefined a genre by reminding audiences that all you need is one good scare.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite horror movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.